Welcome back to the CWM University, where we learn together. And today we're going to start a new series, which is Class with Cole. And I'll be teaching you strategies on how to teach different math concepts. Our focus today is adding integers with different signs. First of all, this is the first time they're seeing a negative number. So we need to make sure they can read the number correctly, that the sign in front of it is a negative and not a minus sign, because they'll say -5 instead of -5. And then we want to go over what a zero pair is. So I like to use real world scenarios so the students will understand and be able to apply it to their math. So I would tell the students, off the floor this morning for your mother, and she paid you $1. You went to school, everything was good. You came back and your bed was unmade, and your mother said, you owe me $1 now because you didn't make your bed. So if I had $1 this morning for mopping the floor, and then I have to give my mother $1 for not making my bed, how much money do I have? Nothing. Zilch. I'm broke again. So that's like having a positive one and adding it to a negative one, which will result in a zero, which is a zero pair. Also keep in mind that if you have students with accommodations of a calculator, that you show the students how to use the calculator when putting in negative numbers. So we're going to go over 3 methods. We're going to use counters, we're going to use a number line, and then we're going to use a T-chart. I must say the T-chart is my favorite. One of my coworkers taught me this years ago. But we're going to show the students 3 different ways that they can add integers, and we're going to do those 3 different ways at the same time. And what's going to happen is your students are going to figure out which is their favorite way to add integers, and that's probably what they're going to stick with. So our first problem is +9 plus a -6. We have 9 counters at the top and 6 counters at the bottom. We're going to color in our positive counters yellow and our negative counters red. After that, we're going to mark out our zero pairs, which we're going to end up having 6 zero pairs, and then circle what's left over, which is going to be +3. Now we're going to do the same thing on the number line. We're going to label our number line from +9 to -9, and then we're going to start at +9 and count 6 to the left since we're adding -6. And once we stop counting 6, we're going to find out what number that is, which is a +3. Now we're going to do the T-chart. We have 9 positives and we have 6 negatives. And now we need to ask ourselves, do we have more positives or more negatives? We have more positives. So then 9 minus 6 is going to be 3, and our answer is going to be positive since we had more positives. So 9 plus a -6 is a +3. Next, we have -3 plus a +5. We have 5 positives at the top, 3 negatives at the bottom, and we're going to cross out our zero pairs. A positive and a negative makes a zero pair. And this time we're going to have 3 zero pairs and circle our answer, which is +2. Now we're going to go to our number line. We have +5 and -5. And we're going to start at -3 since our problem starts at -3 and count 5 times to the right. Once we stop at 5 times to the right, we land at +2. Next, for our T-chart, we have 3 negatives and we have 5 positives. We have to figure out, do we have more positives or more negatives? We have more positives, but how many more positives do we have? And when we subtract those 2 numbers, we have 2 more positives. Therefore, -3 plus a +5 is a +2. Now we have +2 plus a -8. We have 2 positive counters, which will be yellow, and we have 8 negative counters, which all will be red. And then we need to cross out our zero pairs, which is a positive and a negative. And we have 2 zero pairs. And then we're going to circle our answer, which if we count them, they should be 6 of those. And that's 6 negatives because they're red. Now on our number line, we're going to label it +8 and -8. And we're going to start at +2. And we're going to add 8 times to the left because we're adding a negative. So we're going to count 8 times to the left from +2 and see what number we stop at. And once we count there, we're going to figure out that we stopped at a -6, which is just what we got from the counters. Now we're going to do our T-chart. We're going to fill in our +2, and we have a -8. Do we have more positives or more negatives? We have more negatives. How many more negatives do we have? We subtract the 2 numbers, and we see we have 6 negatives. So that therefore, positive 2 plus a negative 8 is equal to a negative 6. And there we go, equals a negative 6. Because they have those yellow and red counters that the kids can use where they can put all red in one row, all yellow in another row. So in the classroom, I would actually have them practice with the counters first. So if I had the problem positive 3 and negative 5, I'll do 3 yellow positives at the top and then 3 red negatives at the bottom. And then I would have them cross out the 0 pairs as they go and move the 0 pairs out the way just to see the answer. Then once you have them practice that, you can have them draw it on paper and then they can write it out. So you have paper section off with the problem, and then you have a spot for them to do the counters, the number line, and then the T-chart to have it kind of organized for the students so they know where to put things. And then also for the number line, I didn't write out all the numbers in the number line because us as teachers know what number goes on the number line. But for the students, I will have them label every single line so they'll get in their minds what all the positive numbers are and the negative numbers are. So make sure you have a number line in your rooms the students can reference. So when they're labeling their number line, they can label it correctly. And then finally for the T-chart, you might have heard me say a couple times which team had more. So I try to explain to the students that the T-chart is like a game. We're trying to see who wins the game, who has more positives or who has more negatives. And then we always put the negatives on the left side of the T-chart because on the number line, all the negatives are on the left side of 0. And then we put the positive on the right side of the T-chart because on the number line, the positives are on the right side of 0. So then once you put the numbers under the negatives and positives, you have the students ask themselves, who had more? Were there more negatives or more positives? And whichever team had more, that's going to be the answer. So if it was more negatives, my answer is going to be negative. If I had more positives, my answer is going to be positives. It's just a way for them to think about adding integers because that positive and that negative number could possibly confuse them. So they're actually subtracting, but they see an addition sign, so they just want to put the numbers together and get an answer. But that's not how you add integers. So hopefully these 3 ways help the students better understand adding integers. Now we use these same methods and apply them to word problems. Go over 3 word problems and use one of the methods per word problem. Cashton is playing flag football. On the first play, he gains 15 yards. On the second play, he loses 8 yards. How many total yards did Cashton gain? So we're going to use counters, and we see that he gained 15, so that's going to be a positive 15. And then we also see that he loses 8 yards, so that's going to be a negative 8. And so we know all of our positive counters are going to be yellow, and then all of our negative counters are going to be red. And then after we do color in all our red, we're going to find our 0 pairs. So we need to cross out all our positives and our negatives, which gives us 0. And there will be a total of 8 0 pairs. Then we'll circle our answer. So we know that he gained 7 yards. Ethan owes his dad $116. He has repaid $16. Which integer correctly shows the balance that Ethan owes his dad? For this one, we're going to use a T-chart. We know that he owes $116, so owing means it's going to be a negative. And since he repaid $16, we know that's going to be a positive 16. Then we're going to put in our T-chart. We're going to put our negatives under negative, and then we're going to put our positive 16 under the positives. Then we need to ask ourselves, do we have more negatives or more positives? We have more negatives, so we know the negative team win. Our answer is going to be negative. So we need to find the difference between 116 and 16. And when you subtract those 2 numbers, you're going to get 100. So therefore, we know that Ethan owes his dad $100. It's a lot of money to owe dad. When Tanaya woke up in the morning, the temperature was negative 3 degrees. By noon, the temperature was 20 degrees Celsius. How many degrees warmer was it at noon than the morning? And to do temperature, we're going to actually use a number line and show the students how to find how much warmer it was. So we're going to use a vertical number line. And we know in the morning it was a negative 3 degrees. And then by noon it was 20 degrees. So we're going to find the absolute value, so the distance between negative 3 and 0. and distance between -3 and 0 is 3. And then we want to find the absolute value from 0 to 20. So how many steps is it from 0 to 20, or how many degrees? So once we count that from 0 to 20, there's going to be 20 steps. And then we're going to add our two absolute values together. So a +3 plus a +20, that means it's going to be 23 degrees warmer by the time that it got to noon. If there's any other math concepts that you would like me to go over, please let me know. Put them in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this video. And until next time, peace out.